Okay, and then let's take a look at exercise 4. Complete the sentences. So for this one, I'm going to give you some time to read each sentence and complete them with vocabulary words in the box. Okay, number 1, I've never seen a computer program like this one. It's very innovative. Number 2, my inbox is full of advertising messages I didn't ask for. I really hate spam. Number 3, you shouldn't talk on your cell phone while you drive. It's too distracting. Number 4, some photographers prefer manual cameras because they want to change settings by hand. Number 5, before email, people sent letters and talked on the phone more often, or talked on the telephone more often. Number 6, please send Jim a text message. Tell him we are going to be a little late. Number 7, some electronic games use a lot of batteries. That can be expensive. Number 8, the microwave oven is one of the greatest time-saving devices. Number 9, the camera on my cell phone is very convenient. I can take pictures anytime. And number 10, advances in technology happen so quickly that new computers seem old within a year. Okay, now we're going to look at exercise 5, which is another listening activity. So listen and check 2 true statements and also make notes because I'm going to ask some other questions.
Page 67, Exercise 5.
Hank, do you ever think about things you might invent to save time?
Yes, I do, Betty. I'd like to save the time I spend commuting. Even though the subway is pretty fast, it still takes me an hour to get to work. I have to walk to the station, wait for the train, and then walk to my office.
So, what do you want to invent?
I want to invent a personal teleport machine. You go into the machine, press a button, and whoosh! You are taken to a teleport station at your job in a couple of seconds.
Yeah, you can do that on some computer games. But even though it takes an hour to get to work, I don't want a teleport machine.
Why not? Think of all the time you'll save.
Well, that's just it. I wouldn't like it because I actually enjoy that time. It's 1 hour of the day when I have no responsibilities. I sit on the subway or the bus and I read or just watch people. It's relaxing.
I see your point. We're always trying to save time and go faster, but then our lives become too fast.
Exactly. We're always in a hurry, but it just makes us more stressed out.
Okay, so let me ask you some questions. First of all, who is talking? Who is talking? Or who are the speakers? Okay, so we can say Hank and Betty are the speakers, or Hank and Betty are talking. Okay, and then what are they talking about? What are they talking about? Okay, so you can say they are talking about inventing a time-saving device. They are talking about inventing a time-saving device or a time-saving machine. Okay, and the next question, what does Hank want to invent? What does Hank want to invent? Okay, so we can say he wants to invent a personal teleport machine. He wants to invent a personal teleport machine. And then why does he want to do that? Why? And if you look at the 4 statements, one of those statements gives the reason why. And it's the first statement, which says, Hank says he doesn't want to spend time commuting. Okay? By the way, what does commuting mean? Commuting, or the base word is commute. It means the way you take to work, like the path or the time traveling to work. Okay, so what is the other true statement? What is the other true statement? Okay, and it's the third one. So it says, with Hank's teleport machine, people will travel very quickly. People will travel very quickly. And the next question, what is Betty's opinion about commuting? And why? What is Betty's opinion about commuting and why? Okay, so you can say, she thinks it is relaxing because it is 1 hour of her life or of the day with no responsibilities. So she thinks it's relaxing because it's 1 hour of the day with no responsibilities. She said that she can read or watch people during her commute. You can also add that she thinks people are always in a hurry. We are always in a hurry and it just makes us more stressed out. Okay, so now we are going to go back to our student's book. Our student's book on page 72. Student's book, page 72. This is lesson B, and it's our grammar lesson. And in this lesson, we are going to talk about clauses of concession. Clauses of concession. And we're going to focus on although clauses. So take a look at this video, and we will continue afterwards.
Clauses of concession. Unit 6, Lesson B. Although clauses. Use although to connect two clauses that show a contrast. The information in one clause is surprising or unexpected because of the information in the other clause. Although goes with the information that is known or not surprising. Known information.
It takes 30 hours to drive from Denver to Los Angeles.
Unexpected information.
William refuses to fly.
Examples.
Although it takes 30 hours to drive from Denver to Los Angeles, William refuses to fly.
William refuses to fly, although it takes 30 hours to drive from Denver to Los Angeles.
Known information.
Jake sets his alarm clock every day.
Unexpected information.
Jake often wakes up late and misses his bus.
Examples.
Although Jake sets his alarm clock every day, he often wakes up late and misses his bus.
Jake often wakes up late and misses his bus, although he sets his alarm clock every day.
Known information.
Address stampers are not electronic.
Unexpected information.
Mrs. Rosen's favorite time-saving device is her address stamper.
Examples.
Although address stampers are not electronic, Mrs. Rosen's favorite time-saving device is her address stamper.
Mrs. Rosen's favorite time-saving device is her address stamper, although address stampers are not electronic.
Known information.
I have an excellent computer.
Unexpected information.
I still write letters by hand.
Examples.
Although I have a computer, I still write letters by hand.
I still write letters by hand, although I have a computer.
Check your understanding. Look at the two sentences. Which one is surprising or unexpected? Sentence 1 contains surprising, unexpected information. Sentence 2 contains information that is generally known. Now use although to combine the two sentences. Listen.
William refuses to fly, although it takes 30 hours to drive from Denver to Los Angeles.
Or,
Although it takes 30 hours to drive from Denver to Los Angeles, William refuses to fly.
look at the two sentences. Which one is surprising or unexpected? Now use although to combine the two sentences. Listen.
Although Jake sets his alarm clock every day, he often wakes up late and misses his bus.
Or,
Jake often wakes up late and misses his bus, although he sets his alarm clock every day.
look at the two sentences. Which one is surprising or unexpected? Now use although to combine the two sentences. Listen.
Although address stampers are not electronic, Mrs. Rosen's favorite time-saving device is her address stamper.
Or,
Mrs. Rosen's favorite time-saving device is her address stamper, although address stampers are not electronic.
look at the two sentences. Which one is surprising or unexpected? Now use although to combine the two sentences. Listen.
I still write letters by hand, although I have a computer.
Or,
Although I have a computer, I still write letters by hand.
Okay, so now let's take a look at exercise 2. Which sentence is surprising or unexpected? Circle it. Then combine the two sentences. Use although in front of the sentence that is not surprising or unexpected. So number 1, Mrs. Sanchez can't operate her digital camera. She read the directions many times. Okay, so if you look at the two sentences, the unexpected one or surprising one is she can't operate her digital camera, although she read the directions many times. And then number 2, Mrs. White's car has a GPS system. And that's not surprising. Many people have a GPS system in their car. Let's look at the second sentence though. It says, she gets lost all the time. And that's pretty surprising, especially if she has a GPS system. So we can say, although Mrs. White's car has a GPS system, she gets lost all the time. So we can circle the surprising statement, which is, she gets lost all the time. Now, as you can see, you can put although clauses in the front or in the back, just like the other clauses we've been talking about. Okay, so I'm going to give you some time to finish numbers 3 through 9, and then we're going to look at the answers.
page 72, exercise 2A. 3.
Mr. Green doesn't use his microwave, although he paid a lot of money for it.
4.
Although email is fast, Mr. Cheung doesn't like to use it.
5.
I prefer to read paperback and hardcover books, although e-books are very popular.
6.
Although Ms. K had urgent business 1,000 miles away, she refused to travel by plane.
7.
I prefer to use a fan when it's hot, although my house has central air conditioning.
8.
Although Ben never sets his alarm clock, he still gets to work on time.
9.
I play my CDs on my CD player at home, although all my music is available online.
Okay, so now let's look at page 73, exercise B. Page 73. Okay, and it says, choose pairs of pictures and make sentences about Mr. Cheung. And if you remember, Mr. Cheung was the man in the picture who didn't like to use email. So he doesn't really like technology. So we're going to use although and even though with verbs from the box. So if you look at the blue useful language box, you'll see even though is stronger than although. So in a lot of cases, you can use them both and it doesn't really matter, but even though is a little bit stronger. And then though is a less formal form of although. So it's the same thing, but though is just a little less formal, a little more casual. Okay, so let's look at the example. Even though Mr. Cheung even though Mr. Cheung has a computer, he prefers to write letters by hand. Okay, so he prefers to write letters by hand is the surprising or unexpected statement, especially because he has a computer. So I want you to take some time to do exercises 2 through 6, and we'll look at them together. Okay, so there are probably lots of different sentences you could make, but I'm just going to state 1 or 2. Okay, so for number 2, we could say, even though Mr. Cheung has a computer, he prefers to listen to CDs. Or just like number 9 on page 72, we could say, even though Mr. Cheung could listen to his music online, he prefers to listen to CDs, or he prefers to use his CD player. And you can also use likes instead of prefers. Okay, number 3. Mr. Cheung prefers to wash dishes by hand, although he has a dishwasher. Mr. Cheung prefers to wash dishes or wash the dishes or wash his dishes by hand, although he has a dishwasher. Number 4. Even though Mr. Cheung has a vacuum cleaner, he prefers to use a broom. Or we can use the word clean from the word box. We can say, even though Mr. Cheung has a vacuum cleaner, he prefers to clean with a broom. Number 5. Okay, even though Mr. Cheung has a tablet, he prefers to find information from an encyclopedia. Okay, or you can also say look up information instead of find information. So even though Mr. Cheung has a tablet, he prefers to look up information from an encyclopedia. You can also say in an encyclopedia. Okay, so number 6, you can say, Mr. Cheung likes to use a telephone even though he has a cell phone or a smartphone. Or you could say, Mr. Cheung likes to make calls with a telephone even though he has a cell phone. Okay, so moving on to exercise 3. It says, talk about time-saving devices or tools that you own but don't use. Give reasons. Use although and even though. So if you look at the example, it says, although I have a food processor, I almost never use it. Why? And you can also ask why not, because it says I almost never use it. So that's a negative. Okay, and then it's too hard to clean. Okay, so let's turn this conversation into one sentence using because. Okay, so you can say, although I have a food processor, I almost never use it because it's too hard to clean. So if you're practicing on your own, you can just make a sentence like that with because. For example, you might say, even though I have a running machine or a treadmill at home, I don't use it because I prefer to run outside, or I like to run outside. Okay, so I'm going to give you some time to practice some conversations or make sentences, and then we can move on.